to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Folks, we are live and recording. Next order of business will be the approval of the regular session minutes on May 4th.
Make that motion.
Second. Vote,
Yes.
yes, abstain. And then it would be the no, I'm sorry, for that one, I'm okay. No, I abstained for that. Oh, for that one, I'm okay.
Yeah, you weren't here on the 27th. Were you here on the 4th?
Yeah, you were here, we didn't approve them because you weren't here. So,
Yeah, I was here for the 4th.
Yeah, but not the 27th. Yeah,
I was not here for the 18th.
correct.
for the 18th. I'm sorry.
So that I
For the
would
27th, right?
look for a motion to approve the May 18th regular
I'll make that motion.
Second,
vote,
Yes,
yes.
abstain. And then the May 27th special meeting minutes,
I'll make that motion.
Second,
vote,
Yes.
abstain. Public comment period. Nobody here from the sheriff's office. Brookside, Worthington Hills. Epcot, any particular order? Brookside first.
You want to start with the
Guest speakers,
speakers?
do that.
Hey, Matt Wagner, do I have to swear in or anything like that?
No.
Okay, I'm at 6673 Merwin Road. I was just gonna give you an update about, my experience with the new net that went up. Overall, the number of golf balls in my yard has significantly decreased. I told you before, most of them are dribblers. Occasionally, they get a little closer inside, but I noticed 2 weekends ago, they were having a tournament and, I had about 15 on Saturday and Sunday. On Sunday, I was outside getting ready it was pre-memorial weekend. And I had family coming in, so it was the only day I was gonna have during the week to clean up. Spent a fair amount of time out in the yard, weeding, whacking, all that stuff. And at one point, there was like 2 balls that landed within 6 feet of me, right next to my patio. And I'm like, it's kind of weird. So I started walking towards the driving range, and not the general manager, not Max, the guy below him that runs the golf course operations. He saw what was happening and he went over to a guy and talked to him. So I told him, I'm like, I got a pile of balls, about 14 or 15. And when I looked, the tee boxes were all the way at the front. And the wind was coming from the south. So and when I talked to my neighbor on the east side, he had noticed a lot coming close to his house too. I went up on the roof to clean all the stuff off my roof before everybody got there. And there was I have a little copper flashing above my back door to keep the rain from coming on you when you come out. And there was a ball in there. So one was on top of my house. So all I'm saying is I just wanted to give you objective data. This is not subjective, this is objective data that balls are still getting over. Not as many, but they're getting closer to the houses. And my next door neighbor has the same problem. They're getting closer to his house. So these are more ballistic than dribblers. And I think that they give a false sense of security to some residents and to golfers that they're not going to cause any problems. Now, I'll keep an eye on it over the summer. My hope is that when the tee boxes are back like they are right now, that I won't see any. That's my hope is that I don't get any but I'd love that more than anything because it was a big expense and a lot of problems to get it done. But I am concerned.
How when they put the tee boxes up for you have an idea how much from like the back, when they're in the back to the front,
Yeah.
how big of a difference is there?
I would imagine it's probably 20 or 30 yards. I mean, it's probably.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, so you can look at Google Maps and do the numbers. I don't know the exact numbers, but it is, when we were talking about this, I brought this up and if it continues to be a problem, the one thing that they didn't want to do was take any parking places away. Because they're at a limit between the golf club, the golfers, the country club, and the pool area. They're at a premium for parking. But if you look at the map, if this continues to be a major problem, they may need to consider giving away some of that parking. to move it even farther back, or change the way that they repair greens. Like, you know, I know at Muirfield, they have a whole little section where they grow grass. And when they clear out an area, they just, in a day, they just put new grass down at the front of the tee or at the back of the tee box so that something like this wouldn't happen. But
So is that why, I'm sorry, my ignorance about, is that why they moved the tee boxes out to?
the weekend that I noticed that the tee boxes were at the very front. They were as closer.
So
as
they
close to
move
the
them
house.
while they repair the grass behind it and then,
They naturally let the grass heal,
okay. I
and
see.
then they'll move it back.
Yeah, it's more of a rotation than a receding or a,
A replacement or
resawing.
swapping.
yeah, it's kind of a receding type thing.
But that weekend in particular, it was a south southerly wind, so there was more push towards my house, and the tee boxes were at the front. So I just want to.
Matt, have you seen any damage, like when it hit your roof, did you find any?
No, I didn't find any damage. I didn't hear it happen, to be honest with you. And my neighbor did have one in front of his house. So they went up over his roof to get in the front yard, or between the houses to get in the front yard. So, so I just thought I'd let you, I mean, how I feel about the net project, I'm not gonna talk about it today. There's nothing I can do about it. But, I am concerned about that, both that the golfers can, and the person that was doing it wasn't a member per se. He was like an 18-year-old kid from OSU and just whacking the heck out of the ball. So that's my concern. And then I just thought, I didn't want you to get the feeling that, you know, everything was perfect. If I didn't say anything, you would know. So that's the only reason I'm here.
I'll reach out to Max tomorrow, just to give him some feedback on the box location and
Mhm.
tee location.
Yeah. Especially when
The
they're
options
moving
are
them,
there.
especially when they're moving them up front.
That 30 yards is a big move.
Yeah.
Well, this was supposed to, I forget the percentage, but it was a super high percentage of balls that, you know.
Right.
Only like 1% or something like that was supposed to be able to go over this net.
Right.
You know, obviously that's not the case.
He's
Well, I think it is the case if they keep the boxes back. So,
Right.
yeah, so I think that's a conversation we have with Max, and I'll just explain to him that the board's expectations are that balls don't go over that net. And if they are,
This isn't a license to move that thing way up, you know.
right, exactly.
Right.
well, he had said some type of low percentage for members. What he didn't say is the members bringing guys onto the course with
Or if
them
there's a tournament
for that
there.
weekend. Yeah, so that's a completely different genre of people.
Right.
So,
But I think it's fair, you're asked about how you prepare to move those boxes forward, backwards, whatever. Maybe their best management practice aren't the best management practice that they
Yeah.
could employ. Maybe there's something alternative that they could do to ensure that they stay further back. Cause I don't think they're gonna wanna take it apart. to your
And what,
point.
was the guy hitting the ball on your side? So he was on the left side.
he was closest to the clubhouse. Yeah, he was all the
Yeah,
way
okay.
closest to the clubhouse. So
Because if you remember, they were pushing all the long drive hitters to the right
Correct,
and then shooting into that gap. They might
have to do that.
have to do that again.
Yeah.
Just to limit, increase the distance, and especially if when they move to the front, that may have to be adjusted, like, hey, if you're gonna drive, you're going onto the right side.
Mhm.
I really think what we do is bring it to their attention and
Yeah.
make them create a solution
Yeah.
that is acceptable to the board.
and like I said, I think the manager just below Max, the young guy, he's probably the course
The
pro.
groundskeeper,
The course pro. He saw it immediately happen and went over and talked to the guy. So I mean, I compliment them for doing that. I do really think that they are concerned about this. I don't know if there's gonna have to be some type of accessory change happened. That's all I'm
Are
saying.
they having a US Open qualifier there this year? I wonder. Ask.
It usually happens
The
like
week after
after the
this.
washout for Memorial, the
Right.
first 2 days.
Yeah.
For Memorial,
You're right.
usually when those guys wash out, they have some type of qualifier
Right.
at Brookside, and those guys are angry.
So that'd be this weekend.
So I'm just saying.
Makes you feel any better. I make every time I go.
Yeah,
But that was the whole big reason they wanted to do that too, is,
Yeah.
you know, they want to have those guys be able to practice before they play. That's a big feather in their cap, being a qualifier and all that kind of business. All right.
And I'm not trying to be a tattletale here. I'm not like this.
No,
kid.
I-
I'm not trying to be the
No.
kid that runs to his
I-
parents.
I
every
think
time
it's-
something wrong goes.
I think it's great that you came in because you're right. If we don't hear anything,
We don't know.
we're, you know,
And I should have put a rider in that for every ball I get $100.
There you go.
Because that would have been great. I think that.
Come on, that's right. Get the house. Go
he'd be out
ahead.
he'd be out cutting the net.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to me, guys.
No, we
Appreciate
appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you.
Sir Jeff.
Have a good night, brother.
I do.
I will reach out to you, man. We'll hook up.
All right. Hey, thanks.
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 Ian Cook, 6718 McVeigh. But Ian was gonna give a reports on sidewalks.
So I have, yes. So this is what I have so far. In fact, I talked with the county engineer this morning. My intention was about another topic. He actually asked me about this, where we are with the Safe Routes to Schools project. I had told him that, I did not, I couldn't make it, but Ian, the ODOT representative, and AJ from his office, county engineers, did a walkthrough approximately about 3.5 weeks ago. A lot of the topics were, we have cracks in sidewalks, we have a drainage issue, we have a lot of restoration concern. So there was a punch list that was created prior to that Ian and I both looked at to develop. We walked through, we added some items from his walkthrough. We have not been satisfied with what the county engineer's solution to that was. And we are not in a position to accept those sidewalks in the area around it until those items are addressed. And so that's what I told Adam this morning. I said, your folks need to pressure the contractor to get these items addressed, because we're not accepting transfer from you to us. Again, this is a contractor issue that contractor has to address, and we do not believe that he has met to our satisfaction our expectations of what the end product looks like. And so we maintain that list. I again talked to the Brad Foster County Engineer's office later this afternoon. Again, stressed the same thing that I expressed to the county engineer. We're not accepting transfer of these sidewalks because they will become our responsibility. And all of this work should be done by the contractor with the county engineer overseeing it to make sure it's done. So we're with you on it. We don't like it. We, you know, if it was in my front yard, I wouldn't accept it. And so that list is pretty long. So our anticipation is to probably have a meeting before the end of the week with county engineer's office and hopefully have an answer from the contractor as to what the next steps are to make that work. It is a reputable contractor. In this case, we have worked with them in the past. We're not sure why we haven't gotten an answer, a satisfactory answer yet. And it may be a fact that we have to call in some contacts from that contractor, the owner of the contractor, and say, hey, no, this is not acceptable. I don't know what the county engineer's office is saying to you or ODOT, because ODOT is involved because that's where the money filters through. But this has got to get done, and it's got to get done soon. We can't allow this to drag on into the construction season. So I hear you. All the items that you see, we see, it's on our list. And it's not acceptable to us. So,
Just make sure we're clear on what those items are. There's gravel
Mhm.
that needs to be covered by topsoil.
Mhm.
There is straw that they put in for grass.
Mhm.
The
Yep.
sidewalk, not sidewalk, the driveway, I don't know if you took a look at it, but I mean, my kids could do better. And there is flaking already because of the time of year they put it in.
Right.
So, and that's just my yard. my neighbor's yard and yards on the other side of the elementary school are in worse condition. Not only that, there's also the addition that they put a patch in for the gas line that they
Right.
broke. They still need to tear up and actually repair.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody's aware.
All those items are on the list. Every one that you listed, plus many, many more.
Yeah, thanks, John.
And so I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was done late in the season. I can almost point to many of them saying the flaking, the cracking, the bad restoration, all that leads to when did you do it in the season to allow for it to take care of?
Sure.
And I get, that the contractor probably on a low priority for the contractor. But his name is on it just as well as ours, as well as the county engineer. So let's get it done. Let's get it done correctly. We got all year to do this. So if we have to tear things out, which in some cases we do. If we have to do additional restoration, drainage, repair on the gas line is another issue. All those things has to get done. It has to get done this year. So we just want a game plan moving forward in a recognition that all the items on our list are items that will be addressed.
Gotcha. So just so I'm hearing you correctly, when you say this year, that could mean
Just construction season.
this was forced in,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're gonna tell me that potentially this could go all the way till November?
Well, I hope it doesn't go to November. But I don't have an answer from the contractor. One, is he going to address these issues? And two, when is in his schedule allowing for this to occur? I would say that a lot of the restoration is going to have to occur a couple times this year. They're not going to grow a lot of good grass in the summer.
Sure.
They're going to have to grow some good grass in the fall. So some of it is going to occur in the fall season. Because the actual construction work, that can be done now. So the replacement, the repair of the gas line, all that can be done during the summer period. We get it done.
Is this being tracked anywhere that's publicly transparent or have some meetings?
As far as the
As far as
punch list we have,
Punch list, understanding timeline.
I'll work with the administrator to get the punch list somewhere located on our website. Okay, and if there's things that you don't see on that list, or things that are on the list that you didn't see before, or maybe you take a closer look at, or your neighbors do, we're happy to add it to the list. But we've gone through, we have videotaped that area. So that we have verification of what it was when we saw it. So it's an extensive list. So not only there, but also Worthington Hills, mostly Brookside, because Brookside was a bigger project, obviously.
Appreciate your time.
Okay.
Brookside,
Yeah, the bike parade is scheduled for the
June 28th.
28th. Yep, at 11, starting line up at 10:30. Did you get what you needed
Yep.
already?
Got the grid already.
Thank you.
Worthington Hills.
Report. Somebody called me, I'm like, I'll try to find out. They're like, why aren't flowers planted down there yet? Isn't that Perry Township? I'm like, no, it's Sharon Township, and it's not Sharon Township, it's actually the Civic. They're like, they've never not had flowers in there before. You know anything about that?
I'll find out.
They've never not had flowers in there, later than Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
I'll try to shoot.
I'll send it to you and.
Are you on the
Send it to
civic
them.
board again?
Huh?
Are you on the civic board again?
No,
Are you kidding?
I was just,
I would just route them to the.
yeah.
Tell them
send
call
them
the
to the-
civic
I'll
association.
call Joe.
And I like to
Find
follow.
out.
I said I'll follow. But, I said it's a civic association, go talk to them. But, they don't have really that regular meetings anymore, it seems like. And
No, I did my years.
Yeah,
You did your year,
same. Mhm.
you did your years, you did your, yeah.
Yeah, we all did our years.
Here, this one got skipped.
We're all former presidents. We have Secret Service protection still?
I thought maybe you,
Why Michelle can leave her house unlocked.
yeah, if they'd known about the knife, that would have been different.
Epcot and Ravello.
No report. I want to thank Andy for showing up on Saturday. It was very well received at the Davis Cemetery, the historic cemetery there on Riverside Drive, commemorating the 250 anniversary of our nation. I had a big plaque and Ian had put down nice size pole and this plaque that weighs 200 ton and but well attended.
Yeah.
And
I was
they're very
surprised with the
complimentary.
number of people that were there.
We were the,
Yeah.
so no, it was very, and the road crew did an excellent job down there preparing for that event.
Yeah, it
It
looked
looked
great.
really nice.
I mean, it looked really good.
Zoning,
No report,
road department,
no report,
fire and EMS,
Nothing.
no report.
police.
No, oh, never mind. Traffic logics. Y'all approved the traffic logics for 1 year at the last meeting. You had a chance to review the contract. Do we want to do 2 years or stay at 1 year? They're charging the same price each year for 2 years, so I didn't know if we want to go 2 or.
Yeah, and the net is you don't get a refund if you
Yeah.
pay
Just keep it
early
1
for
year
the
then.
period.
Just go 1.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Mr. Administrator,
We're gonna talk a little bit about this AI program that Andy is looking at to help out with, our budget and financing. I'm gonna kind of let you,
Well, let's put that last and then we can
Okay.
chat about it.
we'll go last. Let me make an arrow. Okay. The new vendor ID badges. Got something. I think I showed some of you this and everybody seems to be on board with what we're gonna do. But for those of you that haven't seen it, we're gonna make those. That'll be a part of what every vendor has to, wear and display while they're in the township. We are raising the rate from $50 to $75. In conversation with Pete, Pete said we were way low. We could charge up to 150. Most townships are charging 100. But he said 75 is a fair number if that's what we want to do. So we had an issue just recently with AT&T where the chief has pulled their permit because they were just dumping people in the neighborhoods with no permits. They only had one permit and at one point they had probably, we don't know how many people they had dumped out of
Probably 3
cars.
or 4.
So, that's where we're at with that. Those badges we made and handed out is they pay, each individual will have to pay 75 to get a badge.
but the Girl Scouts, for example, though, would not
No,
need one of those.
No churches,
Right.
civic
Well,
libraries.
Cookies.
Right.
Okay.
So here's the other question I have. So would it make sense for us to get lanyards that have Perry Township on them? So.
Yeah, we're gonna order those.
Yeah, it'll include lanyard in the IME.
Okay, cool. Cause I just think the more it's,
I wasn't gonna do Perry Township. I was gonna do that says vendor on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know that it almost looks like we're endorsing it.
Yeah,
It says
I was just gonna-
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just gonna
yeah,
say
good-
vendor.
Good point, good point.
So,
Good point.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, but we plan to give out the lanyards. He's the lanyard guy.
How about a lanyard that says approved vendor?
Could do that too. We can put anything we want.
Disney probably endorse one.
I just could see them seeing Perry Township.
No, I think it's a valid point. I mean, and it states very clearly on here, if people read it, although it's small print, that we don't endorse anybody.
Right,
So,
Well, the other thing that we should do is we gotta do an email blast or put it on the website and all this other saying, hey, we are going to a new badge. This is what it's gonna look
No,
like.
Make sure
Yeah.
that-
that'll be on all of our
Yeah.
social media platforms.
The little QR code that's on here, if they scan that, it'll take them right to our website that shows everybody who is licensed and registered, so they can double check and verify if they want. So I think we're moving forward. I kind of like the layout and how it turned out.
Looks great.
Update on Spectrum. We met with Spectrum. They came in and said, yeah, you guys are paying way more than you should. So we are looking to, probably save about $600 or $700 a month total.
Like
Geez,
$600 or $700 a month?
Uh-huh.
I have a cable bill. You
For
mean
how long? I just did this on my home one, and dropped it from $150 to $50 a month for 2 years.
I think, Michelle, I think it's 5 years we're looking at signing up for. And we're going with this state contract. That's something that
Okay.
we didn't have before. The one thing we're trying to figure out, and I got a call into, IT Made Real, our cable that is our backup. We have 5 static addresses, which I don't know what that means. Apparently they don't move. But AT&T is saying, if this is a backup, why do you have 5? Do you need 5? I mean, and I don't know the answer, and I've reached out to Eric to see why. That's what we had with,
Wait, did you say AT&T or Spectrum? Are we going to AT&T or
no,
Spectrum?
we're on the Spectrum. Did I say AT&T? I'm sorry. It's Spectrum. But anyway, the difference between having 1 static for that backup, 1 costs $19, 5 costs $39. I told the guy I would just assume for $20 a month, keep all 5. But if we don't need them, we'll see. But I don't understand the need. He was saying
Are they tied to the different platforms, like the different databases that we have?
that I don't know, Michelle, and that's why I reached out to IT Made Real so they can explain it to me, but I haven't heard back from them, which is unusual. They go pretty quick, but once I get an answer to that, we'll come back with all the final numbers for you guys, but it's a pretty substantial savings. We were paying for this TV here, I think it was $180 a month, something like that. We did away with this. It will no longer be a TV here. This will just be for this screen and what we do. We still have a box in the road department so they can access the weather channel and the things that they need for weather, but that is free. So we're not paying for that. So we've eliminated things that we didn't need and we're gonna save money. So that was good.
Wow.
After our budget meeting, we had some conversation about transferring the fees that we are charging. Michelle, you want to explain that? Probably better.
You mean the allocation of the administrative staff?
Right.
So we had discussed doing that as for the remainder of this year, taking the allocation of the administrative staff back from the road department back under general fund while we shore up that account. And so I request a motion from the board and to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Vote. Yes.
yes.
So does it work that we would do that effective June 1? Is that? Since
You
we're
want to
about-
add to your motion, Andy?
Yeah, we should. I'm sorry.
To do what again?
Effective June 1.
Oh,
You're adding that to your motion.
I move to transfer funding for the admin positions from the road fund back to the general fund, effective June 1st.
Second,
Vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we were not able to hire an intern this year, nobody applied. Chet had some conversation with, Maddie, the young lady that was here last year. And she would be interested in coming back on a part-time basis. I would like to bring her back probably 9 hours a week. And kind of have her focus on organizing files that Luke box. So it's hard to. You can't find anything unless you actually go through all the boxes to figure out what's in there. It's just a little complicated, like all the old blueprints and stuff are in tubes. All those tubes have a label on them, but they're down in a box. So if you want a specific one, you have to pull each one out to find it. We're thinking about creating just a numbering system with a chart that says, you know, I want the Brookside 33, it's in this box. I can pull it out. We have those kinds of tasks for her to do. I think we could keep her busy for 9 hours a week for probably 4 or 5 weeks, 5 weeks. Then she'll be off to college. So I would just need a motion from the board to approve her hiring.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Vote?
yes,
Yes. Okay. And now back to,
you wanna do payroll and disbursements?
Sure. So, request approval for, payroll disbursements.
I'll make the motion.
Second, vote?
Yes.
yes,
And then also one other, item, Mr. Halsey with Software Solutions has been, traveling for work. So I have a meeting with him on Wednesday morning, to then go through. Pardon? So more to come on that. I'll give you folks a readout after that meeting.
Andy, do you want to plug into this?
Yeah, I don't, how do we stay on the video and I can plug in so I can show you guys on the TV?
I think as long as I'm hooked up to the owl on mine, it'll record.
Okay. Cool. And I'm going to.
See.
Thank you.
All right. So, just to kind of give you guys, Jim, especially you on the back end of, what we're gonna talk. So we, when was that we did, the AI training? Tuesday.
Last year, last fall.
So what I'm kind of seeing is, first of the year, I kind of said, I'm gonna go all in on AI to really figure this thing out. And then it kind of took a hyper speed. I actually hired, a guy that, has been specializing in AI, and he came into my organization and kind of basically set up my own agent. So it's the Planet Agent. And it's getting right now we're, putting everything and anything into it. Now it lives locally, so it's right now it's just on this laptop. And as it kind of builds, it's kind of understanding the way I think, and the way he always says is you start with the owner of the organization because you know the most about your organization, and then, you know, you start. So I've been taking it and basically putting everything into it. Like the first thing we did was, you know, kind of understanding unit pricing, that sort of thing. So we took 15 years of proposals and put it in and found out like some really awesome things. And then the other thing that we've got is we got a bunch of spreadsheets. Like I live in spreadsheets. So I've got this spreadsheet tracking sales and marketing and this proposal doing, but what happens is they're all kind of separate and they don't link together. So what I did was we sort of have the one spreadsheet that tracks, you know, where our projects are, how much is left over, and all that other stuff. And it put together a dashboard, and I was just amazed. Like, and the information that we're able to see now on, you know, and we look at the spreadsheet every week, but the information to be able to distill it down into a visual to really see how things were. I mean, we're making changes and big decisions based on some of the stuff. And then as it's getting known, and I've said that it's been really interesting because over the month and a half that I've been working on it, and basically what I'm doing is it's not like Chat GPT, it's not it's what they call Claude Code. So I'm basically it's coding work and developing a lot of these integrations for me on a lot of this. So my whole goal is that the whole back end of our organization is you know, just runs seamlessly. A lot of the things that we're spending a lot of our time doing. Like I have this one report that it takes me 5 to 6 hours to put together, and I'm down to, and it's now pulling the information in. And it's now down to 15 minutes. It takes me to pull. And I used to do it quarterly because it would always take me that amount of time. I'd wait until the end of the quarter and then produce it. I'm not actually now able to review it in real time on what and make decisions, hey, we got to quit spending. Hey, we were okay to spend this. So I did a real quick, and again, this is local. This isn't, it's going to look like a website, but it's actually on the local, on my local drive. So I basically took our budget meeting and said, okay, I want you to take it. And again, I haven't verified these numbers or anything like that, but I said, I want you to take this spreadsheet and I want you to create an overall dashboard of everything that we've had. And 40 minutes later, it pumped this thing out of, where our revenue is. And Michelle, you may say, that's wrong, but again, you
No, I'm
can,
not saying that's, I mean, that's a
you-
reflection of the spreadsheet that listed the information.
you can refine this, in such a way. And you can change these. So like obviously you always want to see revenue versus expenditures. You want to see, but it also brings up other things that we can do, like year-over-year trends. One of the things that I thought was expenditures by fund. Pretty much you see 2024, and we can go back as far as we want. It doesn't take it any more time to, to crunch the numbers and pull it forward. So again, this takes strictly what we've reviewed on Wednesday and puts it into more of a visual thing. So like one of the things that I was interested in was like right here, you look at 2024, 25, 26, you see the expenditures by fund are fairly flat. And then we see, police is jumped up on that thing, and there's a lot that goes into that. Again, cash on hand by month, January through April of 2026. You can and again, we can change these. And then the other thing is like expenditures by category. Now it really quickly puts all of these into a percentage so we can see it by fund and the list keeps going on and on and on. The other thing that it does is it starts to pick up certain things and ask like, hey, I noticed that there's a discrepancy between this and this, and it helps, kind of pull out things that, when you're looking at all these spreadsheets, it's like, it's hard to do it. I mean, it's like we're only human, but it does start picking up. And the more it starts to understand you, now it's really going to start picking up some of the trends that, that we're going to see to help us make decisions. So then I said, okay, grab me the police department. I want to see the police fund. Because it had already crunched the numbers, it did this in like 10 minutes. And what I'm saying is we could actually have this as a live, if we can figure out the connection between what Becky and Amanda are those, we could actually review this at every meeting. And it would just be a matter of hitting a refresh button, and it would sync to the spreadsheets and pull that information forward. Like if we wanted to say, hey, let's see our revenue and expenses for as it's being entered in real time, we could see that it's going to pull that information depending on how we make that linkage to it. So you look at the police fund. And I'm just going to go through these really quick. So then you look at the 2027 expenditures by category and how it all breaks out. You look at personnel, dominates, it starts bringing out like salaries, benefits, everything else. And then we can delve into that a little bit more. So, and then it gives you the detailed revenue, all line items. And again, as they're entering this and Becky is assigning a category to it, it's automatically updating. So we can see, and that's what I'm interested in, is just seeing it in real time. Whether or not it's all in or all out, we can do it. Then I took the road department and said, okay, let's look at the road department, because that was a major discussion. So obviously this has 5 funds that we have to look at. And then you can even get things down, like you'll notice this chart right here. I was looking at this chart and I said, you know what, all those colors are really hard to read. So I said, hey, can you just go in and on the different funds, can you just change the color of it so I can read it? And he's like, oh, great point. So it comes back and it changes. So these are the things that you're able to modify and change and to make it go. And again, down here, you look at expenditures by category, obviously salary and wages, benefits and payroll. And then the last one I did just really quick was and I didn't have a chance to look at this. I said, hey, look at the fire and EMS contract review and just kind of go through it and give me some highlights on how to, how to interpret that, that spreadsheet. So again, it's super quick. And what I guess I'm getting at is if we spend our time making a connection, however that happens, I don't, I'd have to know how how we would pull certain things. I think we'll be able to do that, be able to see our financial data in real time. I think it'd help you. I think it'd help Becky. It'd help, and especially the department heads. I mean, Steve. I mean, this was kind of what we were trying to do with that that software program that we were looking at. Was like in real time. Steve can log on and say, "Hey, how much money do I have left in a fund?" We now have the ability to do that. To do this, so from a cost standpoint. The guy that I use, I paid him $4,700. Not saying that I got sort of a family and friends discount, and but it was $4,700, and that came with laptop. He's like, I want everything kind of centrally located. I don't want it polluted with all of your other stuff. So, came with a laptop, and then I meet with him once a week for an hour and a half. It usually goes 2 hours. It's $350 a month. And then I have my own thing of Claude Code and I have the highest tier, which is $108. So it's not a huge amount. And he even said, he goes, Andy, after about, he goes, based on how you're utilizing this now, he goes, you're only going to need me for 2 more months. Because, he's starting to say you're starting to understand how it works. And it's been really interesting because you start to see how things connect and whatever. And obviously this is a different place. So I just wanted to bring that out because AI is not going away. It's, and we spent a lot of money reimbursed to go through AI. And then you start talking about some of the things that we can do, like tracking our 90-day sprints. You could actually have like all of these things and to be able to and see how we're tracking and getting things done. Zoning code's another thing. So we could have zoning code on it, be able to pull out information. We could take all of our files in this place and put it into one where you're like, hey, the history on such and such a property, it would pull up and say, hey, in 2008, you guys approved this, it ran through this, and this was the time frame on it. The sky's the limit in terms of how we want to utilize it, but I really think AI is a game changer for how we can make decisions and operate the township.
In zoning, we have been looking at the maintenance code violations and assessments that we've had against properties. And this Oakbourne property, when you begin to look at that property, these issues go back to 2010. So we have been dealing with that property for 16 years. And really have only one time assessed her because of that tree last year. And I will talk to you about that, Michelle.
Becky and I talked about it today.
Did you? I didn't understand the process, so that's on me, but we'll get that filed. But without having to go through boxes and boxes and boxes of old files, I mean, eventually, you have to do that to get the information in there, I reckon, but.
So
There's also, I mean, I'm not opposed to AI. I use it every day. This just looks like my sales Power BI reports that I use an agent to do.
Right.
But beyond that, we still have to have a process, even if we have this, we still have a process to make sure that we're getting all of the data points.
Right.
So, and this isn't me picking on that particular thing. I wasn't aware of that either. But using that example, like if we're filing reports or we're writing tickets or we're doing whatever, there has to be a method to actually be consistently collecting the data. Or even if we had this tomorrow, this doesn't get fed. So
No, you're 100% right.
So there's, I mean, it doesn't, and you may disagree, but it doesn't solve everything.
No.
You still have to be able to feed the data in. I'm not anti-AI at all. If so, I would not have my job if that was the case, or my other job. I'm hesitant to use somebody that's not familiar with government, but I don't know the person. I wasn't part of the presentation. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think, Michelle, what I would say is that he's not gonna be, it's really gonna come down to like Amanda, Becky.
Putting the right information in.
Putting in the right
Putting the
information
right
and
information.
understanding the information that they're putting in. Because there is a checks and balances and because like when you put it in, it's not like, hey, click it, it brings up this pretty thing, you look at it, like you really gotta look at the numbers and say, is what I'm seeing real? Once you've had that in, once you've kind of figured out that integration, the numbers are real, it's just pulling what you're putting in already. What you would have already put in front of you, it's already pulling that out and able to do it.
Within reason. I mean, then this goes back to the AI training that you have to always assume that you need to validate the numbers.
Yes,
Even
correct.
if it's been pulling consistently accurately for a
Yep.
year, it
Yeah.
can tweak and do something different.
It'll make up things to make you happy. That's what we learned in our training.
It can, yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the nature of AI. One of the interesting questions that when we met with, his name is Jeff.
Jeff Benick.
One of the first questions he asked me is, who is your IT management company and how familiar are they with government regulations? You remember him asking that?
Yeah.
And so I assured him that folks we use, they focus on small government, big government really, but they have all the safeguards and firewalls and things in place that are necessary. So, and I don't know his background, but I found it interesting that that was an immediate concern for him relative to your government, and you have special needs and special requirements, and
Yeah.
so I think he has, I don't know how much he does with government, but he has some knowledge, because he immediately knew.
Yeah, and I guess where I'm at is not necessarily saying, hey, here's a contractor, let's hire him. I'm saying holistically, as you know, as we are as a organization. Is this stuff valuable for, I know it's like super valuable for me, but where is everybody at? Because I'm telling you, AI, I made a point of every meeting I have, and I've had meetings with CEOs, I've had meetings with CFOs, and I'm like, hey, are you doing anything with AI? And it is so across the board, and a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll use it to create an email that doesn't make me seem like such an asshole, or I'll do a letter, and then there's other people that are like, oh, I'm all in, and it's changing our organization. It's really all over the board. Then I've got young staff. You would think the young staff, 24 years old and they're absolutely not. They're like, I don't want it. I don't want to trust it. So at some point, the way I described it to them was this. Way back when you had drafters, in our industry, you had, guys that would sit at a table, they would draft and they would take their pens and they would do buildings and whatever. And all of a sudden AutoCAD came. And the drafters that embraced AutoCAD were the ones that kept going and whatever, but you didn't take the knowledge base from being a drafter and forget it because CAD's going to do it. You still had to bring your drafting skill set, line weights, how you do drawings, how you do lettering, everything like that. It's just going to make you more efficient. And that's what I kind of say, that's what AI is doing. AI is not replacing your skill set. What it's doing is it's helping you coordinate and make yourself more efficient so you can focus in on things that you should be focusing and not on all the mundane stuff. And I don't know whether or not you guys were getting into it before you
Well,
had left or not.
I guess the parallel to the legal industry, when I first started out, and you were researching and writing briefs, you were at the library looking through books, and then you would look at something else called, you would key in on a case and have a number like a Dewey Decimal System for lawyers, that would turn you on to other cases, but it was all done through books. And now you have, for whatever, the last 25 years, Lexis and Westlaw, and it's all computerized and all that. What AI is doing is cleaning up briefs and making sure cases aren't overruled and things like that, which you could still do that much quicker, on Lexis and Westlaw, but AI is almost like a second set of eyes, it's proofing everything, whereas, just the substance of your argument and all that, so, but it's the same concept of, you still have to put the right keywords in Westlaw and Lexis to get case law and authority for what you're trying to find.
Right.
So, you have to still be able to know how to design things, on a CAD system versus, the old protractors and,
Yeah,
and the
Right.
tilted drawing boards, like, when my dad was an engineer.
Yeah. And so I guess where I'm looking at us as an organization is AI outside of just technical training, like, hey, this is AI. It can help you do things.
It
and then it's like-
simplifies things dramatically on that.
Right.
And I don't know, I know in one of my son's companies, and they have sort of a proprietary thing, because you gotta be careful about that, but it'll spot irregularities that you might not otherwise find, like
Right.
these maintenance costs are, 40% higher in this place than they used to be, what's the reason for that?
Yeah.
I mean, it would take you a long time to like audit your records to figure that out.
Well, it's just like, if you're getting ready to hire a new person, you can sit there and say, okay, show me the longevity cost over the next 3 based on our fund balance. How is that gonna work out?
Right.
So you're able to see down the road how this thing's gonna play out and what the impact's gonna have. And I think it helps you make better decisions in the moment. And again, it's garbage in, garbage out, but I think what I've learned is when you sort of have the central brain and that central brain knows you and your organization and everything about it, now it's really, like I've said that I've gone from the first couple of weeks, me just basically telling it everything, that now it's like, we are literally solving problems together. It will be asking me like, hey, I don't think this is, and there's been a lot of times where I've like, hey, I think this is the better route. And it's like, you know what, after thinking about it, I think that's the better route to go. It does push back. I mean, because it's starting to understand how I think, how I do things, and especially how the company wants to do things. But managing, like, we're in this constant thing of hospitals and putting where to put signs. We're building a database right now where, hey, what happens when you've got a curtain and you don't have any room to put a sign? Where's the next thing? It'll basically pull up the thing and say, you can put it here, you can put it here, you can put it here. So it's helping us make decisions based on past experiences.
Right. And it learns, and which I'll explain in a second, what my experience, but is this, you said it includes a laptop. Is this something that can be on a server so it can be centralized to where everybody, like, we can all log in and have our own?
Yeah, ultimately, that's where I'm gonna go with my company is, after I feel like I've got it to a point, then it'll be the central brain that everybody else will have their thing.
Yeah.
But it'll be feeding into.
Everybody can feed into
it, right?
Because, I think I've said Charlie Mills in our tech group, they use a AI format for reporting and different things like it. And Charlie will go to one of them in his investigations. He said, here's all the information he had to put in. He said, here's where basically he said, this is what I'm doing. What would the next step would you recommend? And it threw out something that he didn't think of. And he said, it's pretty amazing when you think about that. He said that it brought up something that I never thought about and it worked. And he said, which is very nice. So it's constantly learning. I use Chat GPT. And I was trying to understand the House bill and I didn't understand it. So I entered it and he said, please explain to me how a House bill, whatever it was, like I'm 5 years old. Ever since then, it speaks very simple to anything I do. It's kind of funny. It's like my wife now.
Right.
Talks to me in small words and very slow, but.
The one thing is when you use things like ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, and you open up a new chat session and it's everything like that. It's not remembering. So if you open up another chat session, it's not remembering what you did.
It depends which
Yeah, right.
which version you have.
Yeah, like we have Gemini, but we have a Google Workspace account, but it's still like it will remember the string that I have. And if you stay in that string, it'll remember the whole it'll
That's
remember
how ours is
everything
at
that you
work too,
did.
for co-pilot.
But if I go
That's
into
what we're-
another string or my partner opens it up, Gemini and that, it's not making the connection. It's when you start doing stuff like this that it starts to make the connection, because you're it's like sort of Jarvis. It's like Jarvis in Iron Man. Yeah.
Real quick, can you go up?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
This is where we caveat that, Andy, to your
Yeah,
point, it wasn't all validated and it's
So,
not
no.
necessarily X comparisons that are the right
Mhm.
comparisons. I mean, not having.
But if there's something that you want
No,
clarification, I can.
I'm stuck on fire contracts these days.
I know
Right.
you are, but I'm
So,
saying
but
don't use
you're-
that as your source.
No, I won't. It was interesting,
But-
but I don't want, here's what I think about this whole thing. I think, I think it's a great tool. I think it is a tool that needs to be verified. I think it's a tool, before we start using any AI tool, we have to bring in the people I think that will be actually utilizing day to day and having a conversation with them about what will work for them and the process that will work for them. And I think ultimately, we want to make sure that if we start to use a tool, that we do bring somebody in that will help train our folks to do that and be a resource. But I don't want to get into what we're just trying to get out of, which is, hey, it all looks pretty and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be spending a God knows how much money on something like that. Doesn't sound like this is the case. I'm just saying that I think we need to have more conversation about it. But I think, again, I would love to be able to go into negotiations, having this looked at several different ways when it comes to the fire contract.
So here's what we could do and use it as a test. We could use it just the fire contract and start to feed it, I know, and again, I just use that spreadsheet. But if you said, hey, what does the scenario look like after we know Sharon Township's number?
Mhm.
Or, hey, go out and what were their overall runs and everything? Like, there's so much that we can have it model for us. That again, Chet, when you go and sit down, it's one thing to say, hey, I think it's X, versus another thing, you sitting down and sliding that across the table and walking them through that. I think it has a lot more key.
Huh.
So,
I mean, they will say, Upper Arlington, where they will say, well, we're gonna base all these conversations on data. And I don't disagree with that. I mean, data's gonna tell you
right,
what it's gonna tell you, but you also can read into that data certain other things.
Yeah.
And so I wanna look at it from the data perspective of how many runs and how far away they are and the cost that they're saying it's gonna be. And I want to be able to have a valid argument going in before they start kind of spewing these point data.
I mean,
Okay, but you understand at this point,
Huh?
right? This is just a regurgitation in a prettier
Right.
format.
Correct.
There's nothing, I
Right.
mean, at
There's
least at
nothing
this
new
point, there's
that we
nothing
don't-
new there.
Now, we have to verify again,
And
we want to
I mean,
verify
maybe I
Sharon's
take the
numbers and
leap that
things
I
like
was,
that.
well, that was their previous anyway. That
Right.
wasn't the new contract number
Right,
either.
right.
But, and I'm not saying it isn't right. I'm not, because I'm not doing that line by line
Right.
back. I just mean like at this point, that is just a different visual. Where the value is potentially with something like this is the looking for the connections, looking for across the broader data set. And that's not there yet.
Correct.
Andy, does this have the ability, like for this? We, based on these numbers that but they're saying a call costs this much for each one of those particular runs. Well, does this have the ability to say in Worthington of your 4,001 calls, 3,000 of those were outside of your jurisdiction in the city of Columbus?
as long as we have a data set that we.
It would have to
we
come
can
from-
pull
Worthington.
the Worthington data.
Okay. Which, that'd
I
be
mean-
public record, wouldn't it?
But that's what I'm asking. Can it reach out and get that to
I don't know.
verify the information?
If it's
The
public
weird one,
record,
We'd have to request the data
Well,
set
yeah.
and then,
And I think to his point, I think this gets us started in the conversation about what we don't know.
right,
We know what we know. And we know some of what we don't know. And then there's still probably a lot that we just don't know to ask. So I'm just thinking, I would like to use this as a test, I guess.
Yeah,
Because it's
I
a
think so.
pertinent topic. And I think the information that we have and don't have is public record.
but
we
those
have
are the
to start
questions, I just
feeding
wanna
it.
say, again, I'm not against this, but those are the questions we're gonna ask anyway. And those are the
But
questions.
I would,
Yes.
what I would do is I'd get the contract, I'd get the contract from Sharon,
That's what-
you know, and upload it and say, hey, pull out. You know, I want you to pull out the, you know, the highlights of this contract and tell us, you know. If you, because they're gonna utilize Sharon's contract to negotiate with us.
Correct.
Well, and when we talked at the budget, that was the ask, right, was to get a copy from
Right.
Pete, I think,
And I
of
have a
the
note.
Sharon
I'll-
agreement. I mean, regardless of what
Left it on me.
data, no, I'm not saying that, I just
No,
say
no.
regardless of what data analysis method we use, that was still
We need that.
we needed.
Yes, yes, we do.
But I think we've already asked Worthington once to provide us the number of calls in the city of Columbus, what they're, and we've not got those numbers yet.
Like mutual aid calls?
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
could just get a list of all of the calls made and where they came from and upload. You don't need a, like, City of Columbus, just give us the entire list.
well, but
Well,
yeah.
we have basically asked for that, and that's the one thing they have, and I find it interesting, because I'm meeting on Thursday.
You're just
morning.
making the comment, the statement that it.
Right, you know, I mean, if I had that data they gave me, and it is all public record, I mean,
Well, just.
I don't think they're not gonna be honest, and I don't think they're not going to not provide it to us. But this gives us a way to at least verify that those numbers are
But
right.
I mean, the only way it shows up in the data is if we still have to start with the public records
40% more.
to get it.
Sure.
I mean,
We
no
should
matter
have to
what.
make a public record.
we
request
shouldn't
one per
have to,
contract.
but one way or the other,
Right, we're gonna get it,
we have to get the data,
right.
regardless of how we analyze it from there. We can't,
unless we're missing something.
Right.
Chad, your point,
But that's
or you know,
not-
the one we we're talking, like, what's the furthest, you know, based on our contract, what's the furthest household? That'll tell you, where's the furthest household from Worthington's, fire department?
Yeah, I agree. I'd just like to run a test on it.
Yeah.
I mean, so, again, we need the contract. Well, that's on my
so run a
list.
test,
You have a meeting.
we want to expend dollars to and
No,
analyze the data.
We'll just do it through
We'll just do it
through
for his. I'm not gonna spend any money here.
No,
We're just
I'll
gonna
do
run a
it,
test.
I'll do it through my, the way I set this up is. This has nothing to do with Plan Studios, you're to run all the thing through as a separate thing, so. We can utilize my thing to analyze what, as a test,
See how-
without spending anything.
Well, this will be used as a negotiating tool, basically.
Yeah.
I have numbers if you want from 2023 that's published. Worthington responded to the city of Columbus 1,388 times in 2023. Upper Arlington responded 1,006 times in 2023.
So send me that data.
Okay.
Just
But it's
start,
interesting, and if the calls were roughly the same, so that means about 25% of their calls are mutual aid calls.
Yeah,
I mean, whatever data we got, just, we'll start putting it in
Right.
and seeing.
And
you know,
the
your
issue with
point, where
that
where the
25%
gaps.
is there's no reimbursement to that community for those runs.
Right.
So
So-
we, as
so
a
the
township, are
75%.
picking up a part of that 25% cost for the, and we didn't enter into that mutual aid agreement with Columbus. Worthington did. So my belief is we shouldn't share in the cost of Worthington's mutual aid agreement.
Right,
So here's what we don't know, devil's advocate. Is, and maybe you do know, is City of Columbus paying a higher, they're
Okay,
not paying anything for the.
Big
mutual aid
fan.
is great.
So are they getting money, and then they're potentially also getting money back from insurance companies, right?
The other,
Potentially,
that
we don't
and-
know. We don't know what that
For
is,
some number.
but
For that
potentially, yeah.
The other
and
thing to
for
ask.
ours.
is, I don't know this answer. I know Clinton Township does. Do they have an automatic response with the city of Columbus? Clinton Township has an automatic response built into their mutual aid on certain calls. I don't know if Worthington or Arlington have that.
I don't know that either. What I do know is most of those mutual aid packages with the city of Columbus are based on Columbus providing equipment in the event your equipment goes down. But I just read an article where the city of Columbus, their equipment is so old and so outdated that they can't staff their own
Yes,
stations right now. So I don't know the benefit to anybody. You know, and again, I find it interesting just talking to various fire chiefs, how many chiefs are beginning to pull out of the mutual aid agreement with the city of Columbus. Because it's a drain on that community and Columbus doesn't give anything in return.
just for, Clinton Township in 2023 had over 4,500 runs just in the city of Columbus.
Did Columbus provide any mutual aid runs to Worthington, or is it all one-sided?
It's usually one-sided. What the benefit is Columbus provides, if you have a big incident, Anheuser-Busch caught on fire in Worthington,
Right.
Columbus is gonna respond.
Right.
You know, that's what they mutual aid.
But that's what kind of they're bringing to the table, but in
Right.
terms of, runs, if there's whatever, if it's, roughly 25% of Worthington's runs are going mutual aid to Columbus.
Yeah,
You should probably count on
One
our
hand,
hands here. I mean, how many times Columbus has provided actual mutual aid to Worthington?
yeah, I don't, yeah, I
it
don't,
definitely is a one-sided street.
oh, by far.
I mean, every fire chief that you talk to, that's a township fire, this is the number one issue that they have is the mutual aid, because it is draining their coffers.
Hence the reason we don't have a fire department. I mean, our fire department responded to everything for Columbus. I can probably count on one hand in my couple of years here with the fire department, how many times Columbus showed up for us.
Okay,
Well, I think, so we'll use it as a test. And see where it goes,
Okay,
all right?
well, let's get the contract. Let's start, jotting down questions that we need to ask and push on.
Well, the nice thing
I had
is, the
some
more
questions at
years
the
you
bottom of
put
the
data, the
spreadsheet.
more years
Maybe
you put
we can read
data
that
in,
again.
the better it can synthesize trends and that kind of stuff.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
well, that's what Andy said, it's garbage in, garbage out. You put in good data, it gives you good data back.
When you deal with massive amounts of spreadsheets, it's hard to see sometimes,
it's like reading the matrix, it's like, you get in, it's like, it's just, becomes numbers and all, it's like, when I look at a P&L statement, I just go down and look at all of the big numbers, for positive or minus, it's like, okay, what, and then I go back and I say, okay, what were the years past, is it in trend or is it not in trend? But it's like to be able to have somebody go through and say, hey, by the way, here's a number that's creeping up, or here's a number that's, creeping down that you should pay attention to. I think it's valuable.
You can ask them,
Okay.
and then you'll get the answer in 10 minutes as opposed to spending 3 or 4 hours trying to figure it out yourself.
Chet, do you need me to give you another copy of that with the questions that I have, or send you an email with the questions that I had regarding the fire contract? Or no,
You did?
I included them on the bottom of my spreadsheet, but that's not gonna show up in
Oh,
your
okay,
test. So do you need me
Yeah,
to send you an
please.
email with them?
yeah,
Okay.
please.
Anything else?
Nope,
Motion to adjourn,
so moved,
second vote?
yes,
Yes. Does the club help put in those flowers at all at the bottom of the hill?
no,
Yeah.
it's all